This year, Ashley has been recognized as Advisor of the Year for Region 1 for SkillsUSA, which is also exciting. And when we talk about really, well, I'm going to let her tell you, but we really appreciate her leadership, the leadership of her colleagues that make opportunities that you're about to hear happen for students. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you all for having me. My name's Ashley August. I'm the forensic science instructor. I also had the pleasure of serving as the Career Technical Student Organization Coordinator. I'm joined by my colleagues, the unofficial SkillsUSA advisor, and the rest of our program advisors. Without them, none of this would have been possible. So today I want to talk about the highlights of the year. Some of the preseason work. When I say preseason, I mean the work that we did leading up to the regional conference competitions. So we established a new leadership team, our SVCTE SkillsUSA Chapter Club. We continued our work with the Chapter of Excellence program. And the Chapter of Excellence program, for those of you not familiar, it's just a program in which SkillsUSA incentivizes you documenting the work that you've done throughout the school year. So holding chapter club meetings, fundraising events, recruiting beyond your typical classrooms who participate in SkillsUSA. All of that gets documented and gets submitted to SkillsUSA. And I'll talk about our success in a few slides. The student store, hard at work. We identified a designated space to store all of our uniform items, all of our equipment in room 107, which was really important. And we continued our state officer duties. So moving forward, the regional conference competitions. Through January and February of this year, our students competed in leadership contest, skills-based competitions. The leadership contests, think community service, prepare a speech, skills that are just important in any job. The skills-based competition, think your technical skills that are unique to each CTE program. Students did great. Obviously, we qualified over 140 students in various competitions. Gold medals, across the board, top 3 finishes, and some personal bests. We also submitted an advisor for the Advisor of the Year nomination. That's a story, in itself, but my chapter switched it up on me a little bit last minute. And I was nominated for that award, and I'll let you know. Well, you all know how that kind of ended. And we continued our Chapter of Excellence program documentation and success. So again, our students achieved great success during the regional competition. They qualified for the state competition. Some didn't qualify for the state competition. So directly after the state competition, we organized an event where we honored our regional competitors and the chapter club leaders who helped support them by hosting a field day celebration. Some may say carnival, it's an outing to reward our students who participated in skills, and give them a day where they can just kind of like have fun and, be kids. So we had the tricycle race. I can say that this is my second year in a row losing. Coming in dead last. Last year, my excuse was that the tricycle was too small. This year, I have no excuses. So it is what it is. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We didn't do the dunk tank this year after careful consideration, with everybody that's on the CTSO team. And we hosted a few of state conference prep sessions. Those sessions by design are to simulate the competition environment so students can get repetitions demonstrating their skill in front of peers that they don't know, right? Like peers they don't know, peers that are not in their in their classroom. And we continue our Chapter of Excellence program work. So here we are at the state conference. Over 100 plus students competed, leading to top 3 finishes in several pathways. Our dental program is strong. You know, it might surprise you all, but I mean, they swept again in the dental competition. Our HVAC competitors, they almost swept again, but first and third with a little bit of drama in between. And, you know, some top finishes in customer service, top finish in restaurant service, silver medalists. We had a silver medalist in the job skill demonstration A competition, one of Ms. Bilowski's students, who has just been afforded the opportunity for her to compete at the national competition because the gold medalist opted out. We had 12 students serve as voting delegates and courtesy corps members. So the voting delegates is very, very similar to what you all do on a monthly basis. So, you know, they sit in meetings, they listen to topics, and they make decisions. You know, they utilize the parliamentary procedure, and they have to be familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. We, again, for the second year in a row, earned silver status for the Chapter of Excellence program, which is a pretty big deal, and it's a testament of the work that we do here at SVCTE. And we also successfully, you know, nominated and elected our second state officer in SVCTE history, and it just so happened to be one of Ms. Gonzalez's student, Melanie Pack. So what's next? Our national conference is in Atlanta. It's coming up in about 2 weeks. Melanie Pack has assumed her state officer duties, and the CTSO team is meeting to continue to plan and prepare, not only for nationals, but to fully debrief, you know, off this year, what went well, what we, you know, really need to work on, and what we need to really be better going forward into the 2026-2027 school year. And thank you.
Thank you. You're such a dignified role model. I can't imagine you on a tricycle. This is very difficult.
Loss.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I recognize a couple people in here.
This is on? Okay. Good evening. I'm Mrs. Gonzalez. I'm the medical assistant teacher here, as well as the advanced medical assistant teacher. So this evening, I am joined by my 2 students, Ryan and Mana Lopez, and Damian Flores here. They were 2 of the 3 students who completed the project that you guys will see tonight in my classroom once we head over. This started with our mental health certification. And from what simply was a mental health certification became something bigger in their eyes. They wanted to be able to physically represent what every human emotion we go through. So with that being said, they created the massive brain that a lot of people have seen around this campus. Tonight, I do want to give a special thank you to Jim Burnham and his Megatronics students for helping bring that project to life, as well as Evan Clark and Ashley August, as well as my other colleagues back here who even rallied around my students while this thing was being built outside of our classroom. So with that, I thank you guys, and I thank you guys for being here tonight to be able to listen to my students. So we're going to go ahead and go over to my classroom, if you don't mind taking a field trip right next door, and they're going to give a brief presentation of this brain project. Thank you.
I just want to make sure I get everyone.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Let me get the tripod.
Oh, this is live.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Photoshop the hell out of me.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is our project for the SkillsUSA 2026 conference. As you can see, it's a huge range. It's all about awareness on mental health and also a disease, Alzheimer's disease and cannabis addiction. Without further ado, I'd like to start the presentation with anger. Anger is an emotion that triggers a fight or flight reaction as it starts all in the amygdala, since it releases the hormone adrenaline throughout the whole body. This results for the body to experience a higher heart rate, respiration, and for the mind to prioritize a faster and more rapid response rather than a rational one. That's why in the creation of the diagram brain, we made these ridges to be spikier to kind of emphasize how unpredictable someone can be when they're experiencing this emotion. Next, I want to talk about is depression. Depression is actually an emotion that can physically alter the appearance of the brain, shrinking areas such as the amygdala, hippocampus, and even the prefrontal cortex. These areas are shrunken because there is decreased activity in these areas. And this can affect someone's memory and how they control their impulses and their emotions. This is why taking an antidepressant is always recommended in order to kind of prevent more damage from happening and start the recovery process. As you can see, the brain has a blue light to emphasize it. Next, I want to talk about joy. Joy happens from the transmitting of neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. This can actually boost someone's creativity and problem-solving skills. And for this brain, we made it the largest out of all the tiny brains inside to emphasize how you can notice someone who's happier a lot easier than the other emotions. Next, I want to talk about is disgust. With this one right here. It starts with the insula located in the inside of the brain here.
What are you talking about?
What is it? Disgust. It is this brain over here with the green light. It all starts with the insula located inside here, and that kind of controls like unpleasant sensations and reactions, and this can actually also activate the another part of the brain. But it is mostly to affect someone's empathy and how they react to certain social cues. And for the rest of the brain, I'll pass on to my friend Damien.
Now I'm going to be talking about feeling anxiety. So how this works is it triggers the fight or flight response located in the amygdala here. And so how that works is it sends a bunch of stress hormones throughout the body. And because of that, it also affects the frontal lobe and also the prefrontal cortex, which is also one. And what that does is it sort of, in a way, affects the way that we control our impulsivity. So instead of going through a rational way of going about a problem or a threat, we find like the most fastest way to go against that. And now I'm going to just talk about cannabis addiction. And so kind of how that works is cannabis addiction. That was the marijuana. And so how that works is a chemical compound called THC enters the brain and goes into the endocannabinoid system. And here it gets registered and identified as the drug THC. And because of that, it goes into the prefrontal cortex here and the frontal lobe also up here. And what that does is it sends a lot of feel-good happy hormones like serotonin and dopamine into the brain, making the user or the person under the influence more relaxed, happy, or even depressive or agitated in some cases, because high dosages can lead to paranoia, anxiety, and depression. Now I'm talking about Alzheimer's. And so how that works is we have all of these slides to showcase how patients tend to go through different emotions because they go through different memories at a really rapid rate. So how Alzheimer's works is a protein called tau goes up in the brain, and what that does is it creates a neurofibrillary tangle. And what this is it locks off neurons from sending messages to each other, and because of that, the surrounding tissues, brain cells, and also valves and neurons die. And because of that, we get a lot of brain shrinkage, and this primarily affects the frontal lobe and the the prefrontal cortex, and also the inside of the brain, which is the amygdala, hippocampus, which also affects how we feel.
And this is our presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you. We do have a goodie bag for the board.
Very nice.
So Ms. Gonzalez, why did they do this?
What you see is hold it in and just push it forward.
Their eyes. So for us, it's a little different as adults, but we wanted to recognize a young lady.
Oh, wow.
So they created a project.
And how did that go?
I'd say it was really our presentation went really well. We are proud of our work and how we presented it.
It's been really fun to watch them through this process and planning for regionals. And I remember you outside and you were really nervous, like, no, you just ate, no nerves at all.
So what did you win with this?
We won gold medal at regionals. The fighters did not win. I know.
You were wrong.
Yes. That's what we all believe.
We did get the opportunity to do a small like performance of this at the Technism as well though.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
That's super cool. And you work with students in other programs, right? Like Ms.
Yeah,
Gonzalez
so we worked
recognized.
with Jim, so his students were a big, massive help, including Jim as well, with the lights behind the brain here. And then the stand that it's currently sitting on, and there's a big box cover for it, was with Clark. And then of course, all my colleagues back there rally us like as they were walking by, doing different things, because it started off as one tiny mini brain, it evolved to a very massive brain, so.
It looks like it closes up.
It does.
Like a dollhouse?
Kind of, yeah.
Congratulations on this achievement. I really would love to see the 2.0 version of what is taking place because my daughter is pursuing her third year bachelor's in neuroscience, criminal justice and forensics in San Diego State. So if ever I would like to pursue my second doctorate, it would be in psychology. Because I was just reading about the vagus nerve, how it's connected, to the central brain and to your body, right? I mean, it's always been my curiosity to understand how the various emotions actually affect the human body and the cycle of life, right? So, thank you so much. I mean, I'll keep it brief, or I can go on.
Well done.
Very nice. Very nice. We could go on and on and on about the brain.
You're so funny. Oh, very nice presentation.
It's been moved around, we had to take it to Ontario, and it's been on the bus, and she's like, it's just really jealous right now. I love it. Over, and I said, we can go to the trip.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing better than going to the classroom.
There we go.
I always thought of my brain as being a room with surrounded by drawers and cabinets, and half the drawers were hanging open with underwear hanging off the edges of the rims, and, my mental state, I guess, was how I saw that. I don't know. Just a little room. And I always thought that in here was just fairy dust until I found out otherwise. Shame. Okay. We have next, if you'd like to introduce our next speaker.
Yes, we have a couple representing three, one who couldn't make it tonight, right, gentlemen? But just super excited to introduce you to David Malpica, and then, of course, Jim Burnham, who put together the first ever hackathon here at SVCTE, and so they're going to share with you a little bit about that event and the outcomes. Thank you for being here tonight, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us here. Good evening. I'm David Malpica, cybersecurity.
I'm Jim Burnham, mechatronics.
And we'll tell you about the hackathon. So first of all, what is a hackathon? It's a gathering of software developers, engineers, designers who get together to solve a problem or create something new. And we wanted to do this here. It started off maybe a year and a half ago when our program ambassador, Ms. Montui, asked us how we could try to get more students here. And so we did it as an experiment. We hope that in the future we are able to go outside and recruit. But we did it as an internal experiment. So thank you, Aaron, Jim, and Jesus for all the support along the way. We couldn't have done it without each other. And of course, without our students. Here are 40-something of our students who stayed with us for the whole day at the hub, coding and creating projects to solve problems crowdsourced from our school community. And of course, we couldn't have done it without judges, two of our own, Nicholas Laskowski and Kwang Nguyen in the back, and people from outside who were generous to join us, from companies like NVIDIA, to both judge the projects as well as mentor students along the way. And we don't have a photo for all of our mentors, but there were 9 of us, nine of them. Along the way, we taught students some new technologies that we learned for this hackathon, and then taught them to students. Some of these tools, like I said, they were completely new. We've heard about them, but we wanted to teach students these tools because otherwise we're not getting them ready for the world.
And what's fun about this is that, all of our tech classes kind of overlap. Our AI class, cybersecurity, mechatronics, we all kind of overlap in little bits here and there. And so it was really nice getting all the students from the different classes together because my students had never done anything with Docker, and I really need to figure that out because I'm like, oh, this is super useful, right? And I'd done a bunch of stuff with Claude or with GitHub, and so we had a structure there, and we were able to share this back and forth and have students doing Python. And what was really beneficial here was we got a whole month of Claude code for our 2 classes, so all of our students had a chance to learn that tool so that on the day of the hackathon, they were the team leads, and they were like, okay, no, this is how this works, and they were really able to leverage that knowledge that they'd learned and really help do stuff with the AI.
So the day transpired, the students were hard at work using AI to create new products to solve school community problems. I think it's safe to say that kids were having a good time. And this photo is great because it has one of my students and 3 of Jim's students. So students got to know each other and connect. And you cannot contain those smiles. Here we have 2 students who won 3rd place, and they were showing off their project. The students, towards the end of the day, had to present to a panel of judges, and were scored on a rubric. As well as have a pitch presentation, which is what they're showing. Again, students interacting with one of our judges. And we were done. At the end of the day, we had chosen 3 teams as winners, and they got some handsome prizes. This is my colleague Jesus Correa presenting the 3rd place. And here we have, on the left, we have the 1st place winners, Max and Min. 3rd place, Sergio and Guillermo. And 2nd place, Annie and Kenneth. Here are some highlights of the event. We had overall 81 students attending. They created over 20 different projects. We had 4 judges, 9 mentors that we recruited. 8 different programs from SVCTE participated. Lunch was a big highlight of the day. Thank you, Culinary, for that. We had 3 winning teams and $3,000 in prizes.
And what's really great about this is that we were able to leverage, not only just our 2 classes, but we were able to pull in a lot of students from other classes who, and we did twist a lot of teachers' arms, like, you gotta get us 3 or 4 students, right? But we got students who were like, I don't know what this is about. Like, maybe I can do this. And it was really great seeing those teams get together and some of these students try something new that they'd never done, and really give them an opportunity to see how they can utilize some of this technology. The other really fun thing was our judges and our mentors really came from our pool of experts that we know in our classes, from our advisory boards and things like that. And so we were able to really leverage some of the relationships that we had. Our goal really for when we do this again is to leverage the opportunity to pull in students from the districts and use it as a recruiting tool, right? Get sophomores and juniors to come, right? We even think about things like having our students well, you can't go unless you get someone from your home district. We're going to try and think of some good strategies to get them excited about bringing kids in, because as great as this was, we kind of kept it in-house, right? And I think it's a really good opportunity to leverage students, especially sophomores and juniors, to go, maybe I do want to come to one of these tech classes. Or they're here on campus and they're able to see some of the other classes that are here.
We could also say, hey, you don't get a prize unless you stay the whole day. Yeah. So here we have one of the products. And Jim is going to go click on that link, and it's working. And he'll demo it for us.
So what was fun about some of these projects is they were actually trying to solve some real-world problems that some of our teachers actually submitted. And so basically what we're looking at here is a self-check-in opportunity for students, where they see their classes schedules, they can see where they're at, and they can actually go and click I am here in class. And the way this structured worked was that if they were geolocated in their classroom, then it would say, yep, you're here, and it would approve the thing. And this would be a big time saver for teachers, because the students have to take responsibility of showing that they're there. And then there's a bunch of other features that the students can kind of check. They can actually do if they go and do a bathroom, they can click on bathroom. They can actually do their own bathroom break pass, right? So, they select it, it's like, oh, I'm going to need 8 minutes, right? And they can do a hall pass to like go to the nurse or go to the office or go to counselors, things like that. And then there's a teacher, click on teacher. And then there's like a teacher dashboard so the teacher can see all this stuff. And it can automate the opportunity of like submitting attendance, right? Because it's all there. I know that sometimes I have a hard time getting my PM attendance for some reason because especially now that we're supposed to like take care of any tardy students and things, but like when I've taken attendance, like, oh, now I have to remember to go refix this because if I don't fix it, that student's absent. I have to go. It's like, man, this tool would be like super valuable to me to be able to have something like this that just kind of automatically did it and had students take responsibility for some of the things that they're doing. So.
Okay, and here we have a video recording I made of the first place winner. It's a Counsel Connect, a tool that helps smooth out making an appointment with a counselor. So you find your counselor, you put in some information, phone number, you look for a slot to make an appointment, you write some notes as well as a reason to make the appointment. I was trying to think what to put in there. And I went for applying for more colleges, even more colleges. Need help with essay. Help with writing essay. Okay, there we go. And I'm a stickler for spelling, so I fixed all my typos. Okay, and so there's the appointment details, and you can confirm your booking. And then there were some other features. There's the appointment. You can look at the calendar to see open spots. You can see that the spot I chose was taken away. And then you can see your appointments, as well as message to counselor. So really a very feature-rich product that was created in about 6 hours, which is amazing.
And I think what's interesting about this is, as a teacher, teaching technology, I have this tension between all of this AI technology that students can just go use and the benefit of actually being able to go use it, right? And so, teachers everywhere, especially, years ago when chat first came out, they're like, the English teachers like, this is the end of everything, right? But I think that, as teachers, teaching technology, teaching someone to code is still important, right? They still actually have to sit down and code, write code by hand, don't use AI to do it, get that muscle memory to do stuff. But at the same time, in about 6 hours, these students put together really feature-rich applications, right? And they're able to put together something that is almost production ready in about 6 hours, right? You leveraging that iterative moment going around and around, like, okay, I don't quite like this, but it can do this. Oh, make this column like this way. Oh, take that column and actually look at the longest name and make the column fit that, right? And just kind of iterate on this thing until you get it right. And the AIs are pretty good at doing that. And they're just going to get better and better and better and better. And the thing that I tell my students is, number one, you're going to have to understand the code that you're submitting to whatever production system you're doing. Like, you can't just, oh, it works, and submit it, right? But at the same time, there's no boss in their future who's going to say, okay, we've got this really important task to do. We've got to get it done by Friday, but no one go to Wikipedia and look any information up out there. Do not do that, right? They're going to actually require them to utilize the tools to make them productive. So our goal is really, we have to teach them how to code, we have to teach them how to use those tools, but we also need to teach them how to leverage that kind of stuff. And so it was super fun. It was a super fun event to see some of these really interesting things pop out, and students kind of self-selected some of these projects and really put their heart and soul into them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would imagine that this board has comments and questions, and because it's hard for me not to be able to see everybody, could we start at the far end and work this way? Would that work for everyone?
I'm going to pass for now, but go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It always excites me to learn and understand. It's like so interactive when we have students come up with mind-boggling ideas. I mean, can a human mind think this way too? Like, of course, the AI is going to change the face of, how humans are able to think going forward. But then it's a good and bad. It's a boon and curse. But then, the other day, I was looking at how do I use graphics with the AI, right? It's like the Maya or the Blender, those things. And then how do we put things together? So if somebody of my age is able to adapt, I mean, it's commendable for you all to be able to support students and take their talent to different level. So it's not a question, but then it's definitely a comment that I just wanted to mention. And thank you so much for all your efforts and anything and everything that you're pouring into their curiosity, which is going to reflect in their future. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love all the smiles. It says it all. And the other piece that I think is so important that you pointed out is you went out and solicited teachers to bring students in. Having that experience is really important at this age so that they do realize that they can do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I also want to commend you. It was wonderful to see this happening. I do have one question, and that's it looked like a diverse group of students, but I'm wondering if you know off the top of your head the gender background. It was good to see young women in the class, and that they're not always included in hackathons or things like that. So I was really happy to see that, but wondering if you might know. Or even in your general classes, are they?
I mean, in my class, it's maybe 20%, and it's like, it always is disappointing to me that it's so low. Because the young women in my class are like, they're my best students, right? They're just my best students. And I think it's really important. I am totally on that team of making opportunities for people who don't usually see that, right? I mean, especially some of the students in our district, they just never, I mean, some of my students, they have never coded before they come to our class. They've never played with a 3D printer. They've never done any electronics, right? And, it makes me happy that they think that they're like, oh, I'm gonna take a chance on this class.
I love that.
And I think it's important.
I agree 100%. And I will say, as in industries, many of the STEM industries are not safe spaces for women, and I think it starts at a really young age feeling comfortable with that. So I was really happy to see the numbers. I hope we keep seeing those grow. And I loved everything about this. One suggestion I'll throw out there, because I'll be telling San Jose Unified to think about this, but to maybe ask the students too to submit issues to be solved, because I think there's just so much out there that's possible.
There were a few students who, they saw the big list of things and went, no, I want to do this. And they self-selected a completely different project, which we were happy to do. So yes, I agree.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for all you're doing. It's exciting.
Thank you. I think it would be pretty funny to challenge our male students to go and recruit a girl at their school, or they don't get to participate.
So I do like the idea of using this as a recruiting tool. That's a great idea, and that really needs to be explored more. I'm really into AI, much to the chagrin of my wife. I spend a lot of time with AI. I've created AI agents. You can, as you've kind of touched on here, you can develop enterprise software in a fraction of the time by just using AI and AI agents that work at such incredible speed. But sloppy AI, we're already starting to recognize sloppy AI. You want some people who have a knowledge of coding. You want someone that can be a conductor of an orchestra, who knows how to who knows the music, understands the music, and put the music together. AI is, in Santa Clara Unified, we're already seeing contracts coming from like law firms and other agencies where in the contract they have disclaimer language that if they're going to use AI tools in the work that they provide to the district. It's going to be in a CTE campus like this, you're going to see AI tools in every conceivable classroom. AI is part of our world, and the best quote that I've seen out there is AI will not replace people. People who know how to use AI will replace people who do not. And that's really the task in front of us. AI in the medical field is incredible, incredible. It can literally save lives. So we all need, as consumers of medical care, we need to use AI to our benefit so that we can ask the right questions to our doctors. This is cool stuff. I'm excited about it. I spend tons of time with it every day. But what a great recruiting tool. I really think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
I thought this was thrilling. I just have a couple of curiosity questions. The way that the attendance thing works, the student checks in, but the way that it's confirmed that the student's in the room is GPS on the student's phone? Do they have to have their phone with them, or how does that?
Yeah, I mean, the way this was supposed to be done would be that way.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, but then we're assuming that everyone has a smartphone. And there's definitely technology challenges that need to be worked. But I know that on our campus, we actually have some like card readers or barcode readers that are actually plugged into our Infinite Campus system. We haven't deployed them. I was just told today, it's like, well, you should maybe just ask to maybe be a pilot on that program. And it's like, okay, so I think we might actually have some of that hardware even on campus. Just get it into the list of tasks. So yes, I think that it's important to make sure that any technology we roll out is actually equitable. We have not suddenly gone, oh, well, to use this technology, you have to be at this level or something like that.
Well, it's a whole lot better than an idea that I got roasted for 25 years ago. I suggested we put a chip in everyone's tush and a chip reader in the seat, and then we'd know they were there. On the counseling thing, though, I loved that. Even when I was still in the classroom, kids would go into the Student Service Center and just sign up to see their counselor, and maybe they'd get called and maybe they wouldn't. And the real drawback there, on both ends, there were drawbacks. For the student, you might get called out of a class where you're not as strong as you are in your other classes, and missing that class, was not one that you would want to miss. I mean, they're all important, but if you have a weak area, you shouldn't want to miss that. And the other one was, you had that thing in there where they could put in sort of what they wanted to see the counselor about. That's an efficiency for the counselor. So I actually hope that if that isn't already being used, that that school districts would pick up on that. I thought it was thrilling. Loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's our next steps, is to actually look at some of these things and go, hey, maybe we should actually implement something like this. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing this next year. I'm hoping that we can get your support to do it, and I agree. I think it would be a phenomenal recruiting tool.
Yeah, very much so.
I'm glad you presented because I had no idea what a hackathon was. Thank you.
You should have limited seats, like a high demand, kind of like when you wait for an Apple product, 6 weeks later.
Exactly.
If I can make a couple quick comments. First of all, when David and the team came to me, I'm like, of course, like I've always wanted to do this, and I didn't do it, but I was super excited that you offered that, and the energy in the hub that day was palpable. Like it was amazing. And it happened because of a team, not only the teacher leaders, but Kung was part of the planning team, M&O, our industry partners, really cool. And then I want to share, things like this are so important, life-changing, and for those kids and those smiles, it matters, and it's not free. So in order to do this, one of the things we wanted to do, especially the inaugural, is support it with funding, and so we used Soperato grant at about $100 a student for lunch, and Claude costs money, and other things, and then of course time. And so a huge shout out to Soperato. I'll be going to debrief on the grant with other people that they fund, so it's going to be exciting to share the outcome of that. And then lastly, a huge shout out to Metro Ed Foundation, who was also super excited about this, and that $3,000 in prizes came from the Metro Ed Foundation. Yeah. So kudos to you, gentlemen. It was a memorable day. I can't wait to start planning next year as well.
It was fun seeing those students get their box of stuff that they ordered. We ordered stuff. We let them order stuff on Amazon. Like, oh, they were super excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I didn't have an opportunity earlier. I did have a quick question that I wanted to ask. I guess Ashley might be a good. There were 143 students at SkillsUSA. That's a mind-boggling